If the Brady's telephone had a SAG card, it would have been third billed in this movie. Jamie?
Yes.
Pat?
Yeah.
Let's go watch A Very Brady Christmas. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Good Times, Great Movies. We are an 80s movie podcast. You probably know that. You're listening to us right now for some reason, so we're not surprising you with that bit of information. I am one of your two hosts. My name is Doug McCambridge. With me, as usual, is Jamie Lorello. Jamie, how Brady was your Christmas? From let's say, not Brady at all to very Brady.
Oh, boy. Oh, my Brady. Well,
did you sleep on a couch?
I did not drink enough eggnog. The Bradys love their eggnog, and I didn't drink quite enough eggnog. If you're gonna rate your Brady,
that's
by
what
eggnog.
it is. Like that's how you rate your Brady Christmas? By how much eggnog was consumed?
The family themselves enjoy their eggnog. I don't know if you noted that, but the Bradys like a good eggnog.
All right.
And I could never have a Brady Christmas. Only in my heart and only with my eyes.
And that's all you need, really. Just a heart full of Brady. So anyway, this week we are joined by a guest. This is our first guest. I am super excited about this. If it works really well, maybe we'll have other guests, or we'll just have this guest on again and again.
A reoccurring guest.
I think that's
guest.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel more comfortable with that. I'm afraid of guests. I'm afraid to bring people into this for fear of what they may do. But we decided to bring in, I'm going to say, a Brady expert. Is that putting too much on you?
No,
No, I don't think so. I was made an honorary Brady back in college when I went to see Barry Williams speak at Cedar Crest College, and he said everyone in the room is an honorary Brady. So I like to throw that around. Yeah,
as you should. Toss it liberally, my friend.
Yeah,
That's
you went
great.
to see him at Cedar Crest? Because he came to Kutztown. I
did,
saw him. That was my freshman year, though. You weren't there, right?
You saw him?
Yeah, I was not there.
Oh, yeah. I saw him. That's
you
right.
were not inducted into the same Brady Club?
I don't remember word for word what he was.
You didn't have the heart for it.
I remember he was peddling a book. That's what it was all about. Yeah.
Growing Up Brady.
That's right, yes.
That was him.
But anyway, we're here with Patrick Hartz. So
yay, thank you so much for having me, guys. I must say I consider you guys like two of my best friends from college.
Oh, that's so nice.
We are so excited to have you. I'm beyond stoked that you're...
I am too. I love your podcast. Everybody loves your podcast. It's awesome. I'm so honored.
Everybody in New York City? You're going to go on record saying
Wait, we do a
Everyone
podcast?
I've told about it.
We do a podcast?
Jamie, this actually goes out to other people. This is not just us recording ourselves conversing every other week. So, Pat, I do have a question before we get into this, because we have nothing at the top of this. We're not going to shout out to anybody or talk about anyone else. There's no reason to, really. With the three, I assume I'm going to end up having to cut down like a 4-hour conversation into like an hour and a half at the end of this.
That's fine.
When Jamie suggested that we do holiday 80s movies, I immediately had to find out if this was made in the 80s.
Yes.
And once I did, I thought about having you on. So my question to you is, how did I know that you were such a fan of A Very Brady Christmas? I don't know how that happened.
Well, I think it had something to do with your children, because every Christmas, then I come back to Pennsylvania from New York City, I always try to stop in and visit, Doug and his family, and
you can call me Paul if that's more comfortable.
Paul,
for you.
yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Really
Everyone listening, I know him as Paul, Everyone else knows him as Doug.
Sometimes
but you're real.
Jamie calls me DP, which could be...
Yes.
Could be...
That's what they call you in the gay club.
That's right, yes. It's either for
Yeah.
director of photography or double penetration. So I don't know how I feel about that, but...
Whatever you want it to be.
However you
Doug
need
Paul.
it to be. However you need it to be.
Exactly. But I think it came from because I would bring, the one year I brought all of my Full House DVDs to your house. Another show that I absolutely love, of course. And mixed in with that was A Very Brady Christmas. I have a DVD that someone made me from a VHS that was released.
Goodness.
And
Well, I don't think this was ever released on DVD, right? Like,
No.
It's only
You've
VHS.
got the only copy.
Yes.
Pat has the only copy on DVD. I love
Yes.
that.
And I absolutely love it. It is my favorite Christmas movie. I think I have told anyone who will listen about it, and I think I was talking to you about it, Paul, and we just were talking about it, and your daughter, Jocelyn, your oldest daughter, she said, "What is the Brady Bunch?" And we were the ones who were lucky enough to tell her exactly what the Brady Bunch was.
Blew her Brady mind.
Yes, she didn't know what it was, and we got to explain it to her. But I also told her, I said, if you listen to the theme song, it explains to
Yeah, it's
you
the whole,
what happened.
Yep, it gives you the whole rundown.
There we go.
Yep.
There's no reason to watch the first episode of the show. Wait, is
No.
that how the episode, or is that how the series opened? Did they open with their wedding and the dog jumped on the cake, right?
Yes,
and it was,
yes.
Good
Because it chased the
job.
cat.
Good
Yes.
job.
He chased the cat, but the cat then was phased out, and it was just Tiger
The dog.
within the series. Yeah, exactly. I don't even remember what the cat's name was, but that's for a true Brady fan out there who has some Google capabilities. But anyway, so that's how we got talking about it, and when you both said you were going to do this, I said, yes, that was in December of '88. It was, a big TV event for CBS when it came out.
It was. Doing research, this seemed like a really big deal. I have no recollection of it being on.
Really?
I certainly didn't watch it. My parents didn't watch it.
Really? Jamie, did you?
Yeah,
Do you remember it?
I vaguely remember that it happened. And I remember one of the lines about Wally. I remembered there was a Wally in there, and I knew the Brady Bunch show, and I didn't remember which brother was Wally. But then when I watched the movie, I was like, "Oh, right, Wally." So yeah, I had a very vague memory of it, but not.
Yes.
You're so unfamiliar with the Brady Bunch that you thought one of the brothers was Wally?
No, that's the thing.
It's like, oh my!
the
Even
thing,
if
I
people
was-
haven't seen the show, I think they know the.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I thought maybe in the Very Brady Christmas, like they found their long lost brother Wally,
That
and
would've
that
been
was
good.
the story. I didn't realize the story that happens on a Very Brady
Okay.
Christmas is good, my
Yeah.
friend. Wow,
It is.
all I
It
have
is something.
to say.
Yes.
Having never seen it, Christmas miracle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Let's get into it, and
Okay.
Jamie, you're going to walk us through.
I'm going to daintily walk us through. Okay,
you
it's
can-
really.
Yeah, and again, Pat, you're our resident, expert here. So
I am very excited. Do you mind if I interject with certain things? I don't cut you off.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, I want all the interjections that you can give, my friend.
wait, what would
Alright.
the opposite of certain things be? Just like random fart sounds, or like what?
Maybe, but it's just, okay, the one thing that I just want to say before you get started, is that okay? Is that this was, and I knew this at the time because I remember everyone in school was talking about this the day after it aired, because I was part, they were. I
This
feel
is
like
what I
we
want to hear. I want to hear how you felt when this exactly came out.
Well, I feel like I didn't know what the Brady Bunch was until like the early 80s and when it was in
Okay.
syndication, and my sister introduced me to it, and I
Okay.
was in love with it. And then my generation, we're all about the same age, but we were the part of the generation that we had first been introduced to it. So when the Very Brady Christmas reunion came on,
Right.
everyone was just psyched about it. They wanted to see what they look like. A lot of people
Sure.
hadn't seen what they look like in like about 10 years. The cast.
Well, and that was
So-
a big deal to see all the changes. And then one of them, only one isn't the
Yes.
original, right?
Yes.
And it's the younger girl, Wally, right?
Wally.
Exactly.
Strange name for a little girl, but yes, Wally.
Those Brady's. But yeah, so that had to be kind of cool, that flash. Now, were you, I don't know, sentimental about the seeing them, the Brady's all back together? Really? Okay.
I really was, because I didn't know what any of them looked like, and I remember thinking, wow, Florence Henderson looks damn good, because she was probably in her 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
She's over 80 now. She's 81 or 82, something like that now. So, yes.
She's had good work done.
Mm-hmm.
She really looks great. But it was such a big deal, and CBS just kind of promoted it to death, and it was the highest rated TV movie that season. It got like a 25.
Yes. Yeah, it was a 25 point something. It was over 25, which was huge for a TV movie.
Back then, because there were only 4 networks
and
then.
I think what you're saying makes sense because, and I know it's weird to compare this to like a Growing Pains TV movie, but I remember when the Growing Pains TV movie came out in like 2001.
Yes.
That was
Something
only
like
about
that.
5-6 years after the show was off the air.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew what they looked like. There weren't huge transformations. And plus, I'm assuming the majority of these people kind of faded from public life after the series. I mean, they'd pop up here and there, but you didn't know what Bobby looked like. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was different because Tracy Gold was in the news because of her anorexia battle.
Exactly.
And she had done that Lifetime movie, so everyone wanted to see what she looked like after that.
Sure.
Right.
Yes.
But with this, I remember everyone was just psyched about it. Everyone talked about it the next day in school, and it was just, it did so well that they spawned a show called The Brady's.
I heard about
that.
Yeah, the Brady's it's like 30-something, right?
Yes,
but with the
because
Brady's,
it was serious.
But it was sort of dull because the Brady's are not fun when they're serious. You need a little...
Exactly.
And the mom and dad weren't in it. What weren't they not? Wasn't it just about the kids and their adult lives? I don't know if the parents...
They were, but they weren't the focus,
not a big
and there
enough...
was no Marsha. Maureen McCormick opted out of it, but we had Susan Olsen, who played Cindy, at least this time.
Came on back for that. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard she couldn't do the Very Brady Christmas because she was on her honeymoon in Jamaica.
Yes. Can you believe that?
Well...
What a lame excuse. I think she just wasn't offered enough money, probably. She thought she was worth more.
She's like, I need to go to Jamaica. Forget these people.
These children are terrifying because at some points I can see who they are. Like, they look like themselves as little kids. Like, they'll have these weird expressions, except for Jan. Jan did not look like
What
Jan.
What happened to Jan?
She is a mess.
She
and
is.
her haircut. What is her haircut
her
about?
Haircut, yes.
And then she wears a diaper in the one scene. I don't understand.
Wait, what? No, she's wearing men's, like, jockey shorts. What are you talking? A diaper. They were silk. It looked weird. Are you talking about when she was sleeping? I didn't note how strangely she was dressed.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it, all right? We're ripping at it here. So our opening is the classic Brady opening.
Classic.
And that's why we love it. And it's great for, like you said, comparing and contrasting because they do a little bit of their faces now and then, right? With the faces, it's the whole...
I think at the beginning it's just the old opening, right?
Straight Brady, yep.
During the closing credits, they show them as adults.
Gotcha.
Yes, which I love those closing credits, by the way. They are
very fun.
They mix in the holiday theme.
Yes. You forget until you watch it again how great that opening really was. It was just fun.
Definitely.
And very innovative for the time. So
and that's
you
when
enjoy
they used to explain the plot of shows
Yeah.
in the opening.
Just in the tune.
It's amazing. They don't do that anymore,
I miss
right?
that.
Yeah, no.
I know. Give me a theme song. Don't give me a little guitar here. No, give me...
Tell me
what
what's
the show
happening.
is about.
Yeah, tell me where the problems are. Show me that smile again, okay?
Well, Growing Pains is one of the biggest, offenders of that. But yeah, no, I get it. I totally get what you mean. Yeah. You You want to know what's up.
That's right.
Yeah.
You want to know that it's a show about a talking horse. Tell me in the opening theme that this horse talks, and he's going to answer your questions and solve your problems. Right.
Don't leave it up to guesswork. And the
Exactly.
Bradys do not. The Bradys do not. I love how we see Mike and Carol in the beginning, in the opening scene, working out together. They're
Yes.
workout pals. They're on their
80s
stationary
gym.
bikes. Oh my gosh.
Their
How fun.
outfits are
They're a
phenomenal.
modern couple. What a modern couple. Oh,
Yeah.
their outfits?
Their outfits throughout this movie. I don't know if you noticed how many giant belts the women wore in this movie. Just huge belts, cinched, and their waists are all so tiny. But
Not
then
Alice's.
they have like
Not Alice's.
these billowy silk shirts, though, and
Yeah.
and her workout wear is like that. She has a giant pocket on one side,
Yes.
which I don't know why you need a pocket
For her headphones.
for the giant Walkman that she may put in there.
Yes, and they are so modern that, you know, Frank, apparently her husband is gay and they're still married. But
It did make me sad. I looked at that and I was like, oh my God, in 4 years, he's dead.
yeah.
He died
I know.
in 92.
Oh no,
That's sad.
that
Yeah.
makes me sad. That
Yeah.
makes me sad. His mustache made me a little sad. Too.
I agree.
I
was.
like him. Yeah.
What did Greg Brady's mustache make you feel? Because that scared me
Greg
to no
Brady's
end.
performance made me feel so. I don't know. It caught me off guard. I want to say he had a very strong performance. I
Yes,
felt.
he did. I mean, he was a doctor. He was
Yes!
a professional now.
All right, we have to go through this because we need to talk about each of these children and what
Okay.
nonsense
Wait,
their
could we
lives
talk?
are.
How about so randomly? Okay, we have them working out, and then they're a modern, like, little couple. She chases him. It's weird. She chases him around the apartment, around their house,
They're in the house.
to look for the checkbook because she wants. Right?
No,
What are they looking
she
for?
is just pestering him about what he bought her for Christmas. It's
For
so
Christmas.
weird because you're right. The opening credits play over this, and music. It's a Christmas-sized version of the theme. Is
okay, but you
played over her chasing him around the house.
he did it so that you could see how they updated the house to make it
Do you mean
modern
they made it
80s.
look
Yeah.
more like the Golden Girls live there?
It definitely was.
the,
yes.
the
It
throw
was.
pillows on their couch look like they were taken away from
Oh,
Dorothy.
in that Miami 80s, whatever. But that was the whole thing. It's like, ooh, look at the house now. They're
Look
so
at the
modern. Yeah.
changes. And she'll run around like a fool and chase him. Mike, tell me what you got me. And they doesn't. They take care of Brady business instead. There's so many little sexual, like, it's very scandalous for a TV movie. Like, you're
They're
like,
very sexy.
they're
yeah.
going to go take care of Brady business now. Like, they're going to, you know, he won't tell her what he got her, but, oh, he's going to get her. Right?
No, you're exactly right. That's what I feel like every scene ended with two people just making out, and sometimes pretty hardcore.
Pretty passionately. Yeah, a lot of passion.
Yeah.
Lots of head tilts and, like,
Yeah, they were like the Huxtables because they were always doing
Oh,
it.
they were always, yes.
they were always doing it. Yeah. Oh.
But now we know why.
Yeah. She was on Quaaludes. Well, now we see they decide to call the kids, right? So we get a little glimpse. Now they're calling the kids with their I guess news. So we kind of see the kids. We meet them again, all of them. Pat, do you want to take us through this? Did you have any moments where you're like, "Oh, I got to see so"? Okay.
Do you want to talk about each kid and what
Yeah,
they're
I
doing?
think we
and-
should.
Notice how they did it all in the first act of the TV movie because that's what the audiences wanted. They wanted to see what everybody looked like, who they were married to, what they were doing, if they had kids, everything. So,
And it was a
first
great way
person-
to do it. Phone call it.
I think so. Yeah, I definitely think so. So the first one, of course, is Marsha, right?
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
she answers the phone, and she's got this like panda flip phone. Did you notice the phone
Yes,
she
I thought it was
had?
like a soccer ball. Remember those soccer ball phones that just opened? Because it was just
Yeah.
a circle. It was just a ball that opened in half.
Yeah. It was very 80s decor, yeah.
I had to
Yes.
rewind this because she walks over and you see a weird Washington Monument statue.
Really?
And then I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's right next to the phone. And then I was like, wait, what's on it? It's a weird abstract piece of art. But no, it's like a little fireman ladder, like toy set. So it establishes that she
Yes.
has children.
Yes.
Yes. They really made a big deal out of that.
Who are her children?
I
Are they
hate
even
those
hers?
kids so much. I hate those kids.
They don't look like
No, there's like
either
a
one of them.
redhead and a she
Yeah.
kind of looks like
Well, they were so precocious that it was grating. But they were Mickey was the redhead, right?
random redhead, yeah.
And then Jessica was the
Where
dark
is she
haired little
from?
girl.
Where did
She was in a lot of things. Good
Yeah,
call, Jamie.
yeah.
Yeah. She was in a
I
lot of
saw
failed
those
sitcoms.
chestnut eyes before. Yeah.
A lot of people used to confuse her with Curly Sue, but she is not Curly Sue.
No, she is not Curly Sue. I knew
She
that.
is not.
No.
Curly Sue's a
She-
monster. That girl's an idiot.
But she is, she's somebody whom you would think. Now, the thing is, you also see in Marcia's house, you see photos of her wedding that was taken from the spinoff called The Brady Brides in the early 80s.
My
Right.
goodness.
Yes. So in 1981, there was a 6-episode season of a show called The Brady Brides, where they took Marcia and Jan and they got married to Wally and,
And
Philip,
Oh my
respectively.
goodness.
Yes. And it did so poorly that was the last time we saw them until this movie.
It took them 8 years to make a movie.
Yes, it did. And it was such a failed attempt, but this one did so well, apparently. So, she's married to Wally now, who's a total neurotic, and he works for a toy company.
Oh, God.
So they've got toys everywhere. Yes.
He's their
Okay.
top toy salesman. At one point, he says that.
Yes.
But he gets fired, which, like, who fires their best salesman? Like,
Right before Christmas.
Yeah, something else was going on there. Like,
Something else happened.
you just don't get fired as the best salesman.
Yeah, right
Now,
before Christmas.
We don't know where we know that they don't live home because they all have to fly in, but we don't know where they live, do we?
We don't know where any of them
They
live.
drive. They're able to drive, but I think everybody else has to fly, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, everyone flew except for Peter and his new girlfriend.
Peter and his... Okay, yeah, it's Peter.
Yes,
All right.
because they drove, but who knows where the rest of them live? They didn't even say. And why did the parents have to pay for their... But anyway, we'll get to that.
We're like 30 seconds into the movie.
Then I think it's safe to say that, okay, so they are planning trips, right? It's basically
Yes.
like a gift of the Magi thing, where they're each planning something,
Right.
and they don't know it. So
Right.
she's planning a trip to Greece.
For
and
him, right.
Mike is planning a trip to where? Japan?
Japan, yes. Which I
Japan.
gotta tell you, I picked Greece. Like, I
Me
think
too.
that's where they should have went. Even forget about flying the kids in. They should have just went to Greece. But then we wouldn't have a very Brady Christmas.
I thought that was going to be the plot of this entire movie.
yeah, I thought that
And
was
I
like
was
the Brady's are going international.
I
Is
was
that
like,
what the Brady
oh dear
Christmas
Lord,
is
I
about?
don't know if I can sit through them trying to keep this secret
But they
from one
did.
another for an hour
Yeah.
and 40 minutes.
I know. But the thing is then that hilarity ensues then later on after they
Yes.
introduce the kids.
Yes.
But, they've got this secret. They both confide in the kids. So then the
Yes.
next person that comes in is Greg,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
It's the first time we see Greg in a while, and he's got a mustache to match the dad.
Very well manicured.
What did you think of this mustache, guys?
This was a very well maintained mustache. I mean, Tom Selleck really has the best mustache on any man. But
Yes.
he was aspiring to be like a Selleck stash. He didn't quite make that for me, but it was an impressive stash. to
I
say the
thought
least.
it was horrifying.
Agreed.
I was afraid of it. It's jarring enough to see or to not see somebody for like 10, 12 years. But
Yes.
this is an aggressive move on his part to look as
Yeah.
different as he possibly can from when he was a child.
Yeah, I agree. It's basically like, I'm grown up now. I'm a doctor. I've got a mustache.
Well,
Look
that's
at me.
just it. His whole performance, too, was very, like,
It upset me.
it was upsetting. Okay.
I thought it was interesting. So then we find out he's a doctor,
Yes.
and Greg is married to Nora, who
Is
is
a
his nurse.
Yeah.
Yes.
That seems
work.
highly
Yeah.
inappropriate. At one point, they're operating on somebody, or they're about to operate on somebody, and they're
Yes.
squabbling.
Oh.
And I was like, either they work together, or this guy's at their house. Like, do they just have a little
Yeah.
office in their garage or something like that? Is it where this takes place?
It's
Well,
a private
when-
practice in their home.
Well, okay, so the first time I ever saw this, I recognized Nora right away.
Oh,
Do you
who's she?
recognize
No.
her at all?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Her name is Karen Richmond, but it's Karen with a C. And she was in a sitcom called The New Gidget. So she was basically...
I didn't even know they did that.
I
was so
remember
bad.
when that happened. And was she the Gidget? Because maybe that's why it failed.
She was. It was her and Moondoggie were grown up, and
Maybe that's why it failed.
oh, it was so bad. But I guess they thought she was a young Sally Field. Did you get that from her? or
No, I did not.
I guess I could see that. She had brown hair. Like, that's
Oh yeah,
it.
that's what did it. Yeah, but yeah, no. So they're basically they work together, and hilarity ensues when they're at one point there's this woman in labor.
Oh,
Mrs.
she's
Powell.
in labor.
Oh,
That's
yes,
what it was.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Mrs. Powell and Mr. Powell actually make the couple who are having the baby, and they're doing the breathing exercises.
Mr.
They're
Powell's
going-
a little awkward there, too.
Oh, I
Yes.
actually enjoyed that scene. I thought it was legitimately funny how the husband of the woman who's in labor is getting involved in their weird.
in their business. Yes, I thought. Well, what happens is that must have done so well that Sherwood Schwartz took Mr. and Mrs. Powell and made them recurring characters in the Brady's.
Oh, my
Actually,
goodness.
they were in a few episodes. Of
Oh,
them.
my goodness.
Yeah.
I like
With their
that
baby,
scene,
with
but
their
that
new
still
baby.
kind of amazes me. Like, why would you give them anything more than that?
I thought it was hilarious, and I remember my sister and I used to watch it all the time, and we would do the breathing exercises.
Oh, I love it.
That was what it was, and I will always remember them for that. But
That's awesome.
When they're introducing everyone, now I know we get into Jan's issues with her husband shortly,
Yes.
but the whole time she's on the phone, she's just standing next to a window just so we can see that it's snowing. And every
Yes.
time we cut to her at home, it is clearly snowing. That's really all that's happening there.
Jan
It's
lives in a
just to show
cold,
us that
cold
she's
place.
far away.
She lives in a
They didn't
cold,
say
dark
where.
place. In her heart, in her actual place.
Yes.
She's cold and dark, and it's hard
She's
times for
miserable.
Jan.
She looks pissed
Yeah.
to be in this movie.
yes.
She looks
Oh.
upset to just exist.
I feel like hair and makeup did nothing with her. For like,
Oh no.
they were just like,
Intentionally.
yeah, she showed up. We'll just let her roll in. You know, like
She
what?
rolled onto set about 2 minutes before they started filming.
Brush your
It's like,
hair
that's
at
it.
least, Jan.
Definitely.
A
Oh,
little
you guys are
bronzer,
so-
Jan. A little bronzer. I don't know.
You are definitely on point with her because actually, I'm just going to tell a very quick side story. if
Please
that's all right
do.
about her.
Of course.
Okay? Eve Plum is one of those people who she was lucky enough that her fairy godmother blessed her to be a Brady. Okay, like
Oh.
how awesome is that? She is a Brady, but she hates it. She hates being known as Jan Brady. And she was, okay, so you know I love talk shows,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
right? On an old episode of The Jenny Jones Show,
Mm-hmm,
okay, there was an episode that Jenny had where she had all the old TV stars from the 70s. She had J.J. Walker, she had
Awesome. Out of
you know,
sight.
yeah, exactly,
Dynamite.
Carmine Ragusa, the Big Red
Oh,
Goo
the Big
was
Red Goo,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, all these people were on, and Eve Plum was on.
Okay.
And every time that anyone asked her a question about the Brady Bunch, she just seemed like she wanted to pick up her check and leave.
Oh.
So this woman stood up in the audience and said, "Excuse me, can you do Marsha, Marsha, Marsha for my friend?
Oh.
It's her birthday."
Oh.
And she just said no and stopped asking. And she just was shut her down.
Oh.
That's amazing.
I was like, wow, you're a Brady. Like, embrace it.
Just
this is what
embrace
you're known
it.
for,
Yeah, just
right?
take it. I agree.
Here's the thing, and this is what I don't understand at all, is then I went on, IMDb or whatever and looked at everybody's filmography. She continues to work. She works.
Oh God! And
she
what?
works.
What, the
no,
grumpy neighbor?
She's
For
on TV
what?
all the time. No, she's in shows like Bones and stuff like that. Like she's
Oh.
in episodes of current TV shows, just
Of
as
like
a guest.
those crime shows where they need shady looking characters.
Right, yeah, maybe that's it. But it didn't make sense to me because out of anyone in this, she seems the least talented.
Agreed.
I-
I'm there with you, and I don't like to speak ill of people. I think all the Brady people have embraced the fact that they are Bradys. She's the only one who's put it out there that she doesn't want to be a Brady, and it's like, you know what?
Well,
that's your bread and butter.
And it, you know what? It affects her look in this movie, but it does not affect her performance. I will say, because she's very Jan. She delivers a Jan, and I guess that's what she was meant to do.
Something that we didn't talk about earlier, Pat, is feel free to speak ill of anybody you want to on this podcast.
Oh, okay, I
We do
will.
it all the time.
Okay, all right, I definitely will. But so is it safe to say that Eve Plum is fucking bitter and it looks horrible on her?
Yes, right on. Yes.
Okay.
Very fair, yes. And they give her
I
a
just
lot
wanna
to
make sure.
do in this, which I did not enjoy. They
Yeah,
didn't
I mean,
give Bobby anything to do. And maybe he's a terrible actor. Probably.
Yeah.
But they give her a lot.
They do, because last time we saw her and Philip was the Brady Brides, and they were happy getting married, and they were both intellectuals, and now his work was getting in the way of their marriage.
Oh,
Isn't
yeah.
that what it was?
Yeah, it
Like,
was his work because he got a promotion. He's a professor now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Lots of
And
studies happening with birds, right?
The gray-legged goose
Oh,
or
you
something.
I thought his performance when she was on the phone with her mom, and he's in the background. He has to keep wiping his feet every
Wiping
time
his
he comes.
feet?
I
Oh,
thought
he's
that was
carrying the
pretty
fish
good.
tank around too. He's like, I'm
Right.
taking
Yeah.
my
He's
fish.
like, that's
and
my
I-
blanket. That's my fish tank.
Yeah, it was just a bitter situation.
The first hour of this movie is people on telephones. Did anybody else pick up on that?
Yeah, and I
Oh,
loved
yes,
it. That's
introing them.
like you said, Pat. It's like it was a nice way to kind of quickly meet everybody, catch up where we're going without having to really
Plot
delve
exposition.
in. Yes, we were just
Yes.
making phone calls and making rounds.
Like every time I see
Yes.
people on phones in TV shows and movies, I always think how, I don't know about difficult or awkward that must be to film or to act. It really felt to me like a lot of this movie was people in totally separate rooms, being filmed on totally different days, appearing to have conversations with one another.
Yeah.
And the continuity, I think it actually worked out really well for the
Considering,
most
yeah.
part, yeah. But I didn't know if they had to work around schedules or what the deal was there, or maybe that's just the way they decided that's how this is going to go. That's how we're going to bring in the whole weird family dynamic, and everybody is really far away.
And then in the middle of this is an important part. Alice shows up.
Oh, Alice
right?
is crying at the door.
Yes.
She comes to their door, so sad. I
Is
mean, when do
Alice's
we
cry one of the best cries in television history?
ridiculous? It is so ridiculous.
Yes.
It looks like Fred
Yes.
Flintstone crying. It's adorable.
Yeah, so Alice shows up. She hasn't worked for the Bradys in years,
But
right?
her
I
uniform
guess.
is always on the ready. 'Cause they're like, Alice, you don't work for us anymore, but she's just hanging out in her little blue maid
She
uniform.
still has it.
I did
Yeah.
love it because you're right. They say she can stay, and she wakes up the next day and is in full uniform. And
Like
is,
making Cinnabon. She's like, whatever. I love this. So she comes in and she's distraught because Sam, our beloved Sam the Butcher, we all know that they were lovers, or
Yes.
and
something.
so they've had a mishap in their relationship, and he wrote her a letter on butcher paper, of course.
of course.
And
of course.
I love. He met another woman working nights plucking chickens. Is that right?
Yes, it was all butcher metaphors, right?
And one night, it was just friendship, and then one night she asked him to season her rump roast.
It's so great.
Oh my God.
It's
Oh
such
my
a
God.
wonderful letter, but I was more confused by Robert Reed's performance and his delivery. Like, it's oddly stilted, and he's not reading or pausing at the right time. It's
Yeah.
very weird, but the letter's amazing.
But the letter is awesome, and Alice's sadness is sad.
And Pat, I'm not as familiar with the show as you were, but
Okay.
No one really
Did
is.
Alice and did they get married at any point? Like, is that how the series ended or anything? Or
No, I don't think the Brady Bunch. I think is one of those shows that didn't have an official
Like closure.
finale. It just had. Remember the last season they had Cousin Oliver,
yes,
the blonde kid with the bowl cut and the glasses. Do you remember him?
I do
Jamie?
not. I do not. Was it Leonardo DiCaprio? Did he play him? I don't know.
No, but it was the same.
Like similar.
Sentiment.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like, let's bring in the kid.
should we just
Okay.
talk about growing pains? Should we just that's it?
Right? Oh my god! Don't even get me started with the cocaine episode. That's my favorite.
I know. We've talked about that at length.
Oh, it's the best one. But anyway, so just a side note. I know we're jumping ahead, but when Sam comes at the end, he is played by Louis Arquette. Did you know that?
No, I thought it
No.
was Santa Claus.
Oh, well, he is Santa Claus. He's dressed as Santa Claus, yes. But he is Louis Arquette, the patriarch of the Arquette clan.
That is, I did not know that. That's
Oh my
kind of
God.
awesome.
That's
Now, he
amazing.
doesn't
Yeah.
play Sam the Butcher in
real life,
Okay,
no.
okay.
No,
That was a one-time
he didn't.
Samster.
Yeah, I guess
Yes.
that was just let's dress him up like Santa Claus. Like, we don't even have to find someone who looks like him or even sounds
Louis
like
Arquette's
him. Let's
here,
just
yeah.
put a beard on him. It'll muffle his voice, and he'll be Sam.
Exactly.
And it works.
Exactly. So, but the good thing is that Alice also gets caught in the middle of the Brady drama.
Yes.
You know, they confide in each of them confide in
Oh my
her,
God, it's so
right?
funny when they pull her aside. When Mike pulls her aside, it's such a secret. He pulls her aside and he's like, I want to tell you my secret, Alice. Come with me. Come with me. He's so dramatic.
Yes.
I love it.
I love it when he first says it to her, and he pulls her into a different room and goes, "Listen, we talked about it, and it's cool that you stay." And I'm like, this is super shady. Like,
Yes.
was Carol like, that woman is not staying in this house? And I was like, why is he whispering this to her if they've discussed it?
It's like a super
Yeah.
whisper. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, you know, it's a stage whisper.
Yes,
you know,
totally.
Exactly.
So, but
Exactly. But, yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
I love how then so Mrs. Brady whispers to her trick, and Alice is rendered speechless because literally she's like, I'm speechless. She doesn't know what to say because
Yeah.
she honestly doesn't know what to do. These two are going on with their plan to plan trips for each other, and everyone is just going to let it unfold, right? And it
how they
does.
talk about this vacation fund like
Yes.
it's something amazing. They're like, oh,
Huge.
I
Mom,
want to
are
know
you
how much
dipping into the
money they
vacation
had.
fund?
Yeah.
I know.
And I really love the part, and we talked about, it's confusion, it's Gift of the Magi thing, but I love it when Carol goes to the travel agency to get the money out and it's gone, and the travel agent is super suspicious of her, and at the end even goes, "Here you are, Carol Brady, if that is your real name."
Name, yes. Okay, now, by the way, just a side note for our viewers, listeners, that woman who plays the
Who is
travel
she?
agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Teresa
The
Caputo.
minute-
Who is it?
She looks like her. But then the second I saw her when I was little, I thought, oh, I know this woman. How do I know this woman? And then years later, I realized she played a secretary in a pivotal scene of the film Mommy Dearest.
Oh.
Yes, she did.
She's ingrained in our mommy memories.
Oh my God, that's
Yes,
amazing.
which of course is an amazing movie and everyone
Absolutely,
should
yeah.
see it. But the minute I saw her, I was like, oh my God, she was in Mommy
So
Dearest.
familiar,
So
yeah.
So that woman got a lot of work apparently in the 80s.
Good for her. So they do. They decide to then use the money to fly all the kids back. Why would they take a vacation? I still don't understand why they don't decide to just pick one of the vacations. I guess they just can't decide.
They
No.
flash back.
To the camping trip, right?
Oh,
camping
God,
trip,
it turns
yes.
into a clip show from time to time, which was weird.
But appropriate and necessary.
Only a couple times is it a
Yeah.
clip show, and I'm like, what? This seems very odd for a TV movie.
I agree, but I thought it was just to kind of give you that, Brady nostalgia.
Yeah.
Hey, remember when they went camping?
That's what I think. It was a nice little oh yeah, these are these guys. Yeah, they had that silly camping adventure, and Alice brings that up, right? Is that, or do they talk to each other about that? No, they talk to each other about it.
I think they talk to each other.
Yeah,
they talk to each other. Alice just wanders around the house confused the entire film.
Willing to work. Willing to work.
Looking for pies. I don't know what's happening.
Yes. Yeah. And it's, what is it? The girls have a cardboard bear and they shine it up to the tent with a flashlight. And of course they're like, oh, it's a bear.
And the boys freak out. Right.
For Christ's sake, it's a cardboard bear.
And it's clearly a cardboard cutout, perfect eared, whatever.
I don't know how Greg Brady's a doctor. He doesn't seem all that intelligent as a child.
Yeah, really? He should have stuck with Johnny Bravo.
That's right. So then we're actually introduced then to the, I don't even know if I want to call it a subplot, that Mr. Roberts guy who's...
Roberts.
Yes. This is the shadiness, yes.
I do like how when he calls, Carol starts talking to him as though he's Marcia.
Oh, yeah.
And then she says, oh, I thought you were my daughter. And his line is, I haven't been anyone's daughter for as long as I can remember.
Which is pretty accurate, I suppose.
Yes, but it's a weird thing to say. Just laugh it off. Like, don't say that to her.
Don't respond to that. No, I love, so she gets a phone call. She calls most of the kids, right? She's starting to call the kids to let them know they've changed their plans. They're not traveling. Mm-hmm. They want everybody to come in.
Exactly.
She starts with Marcia, who is frazzled when she calls, right? Because now we're meeting Marcia's kids. We didn't meet them for the first call. Now we see that they are these horrendous children, and whose children really are they? They look nothing like her. She's going to call Mom back because her kids are strangling her. And the call comes in from who's the bad guy's name? We'll call him the bad guy.
Ted Roberts. That was to establish him as the villain because he wanted to cut corners on the safety inspection to save money. But Mike wanted to
he wanted to be legit about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I love how he's calling Carol to influence her husband to then just say, don't worry about this.
Well, but it was her company because she's a realtor. So it was her company that got him the connection. So he's not necessarily threatening Mike Brady. He's threatening her, right? Saying that he won't recommend her company. P.S. When this phone call happens, Alice is on the row machine.
Oh, I was hoping somebody recognized that because I was like, this is the best scene. She's just in the background, just rowing.
She's just comic relief, yeah. She's so great. Ambi Davis was like the Don Knotts of her time, right?
I don't even know what to do with that. I didn't even know what to do. I loved it. But yeah, we're introduced to this bad guy threat.
Yes.
What are we to do? What is Mrs. Brady going to do? Because she doesn't want to tarnish her husband's career or her career. And she doesn't know about building codes. She doesn't know. Maybe the building's safe. And if that's
She's
the case,
a real estate agent, right?
Yes.
I guess. Was this ever established in the series?
No.
Okay.
No, this is like a later in life thing. And it's like, of course she does real estate. She's an, older lady in California.
Were you about to say she's a woman?
She's a woman, yeah, no. So then, of course, like you were saying, they go back, they tell all the kids.
Yeah, she continues to call all the kids, right. She continues to call all the kids and let them know. What is Greg's reaction when he calls? Doesn't she say something like, how can I help you? And he's like, you've been helping me for years.
It is so cheeseball corny.
Yes.
All of these kids and all of their situations. I thought Peter's situation was very odd.
Oh, Peter. I think they were looking for something to do with Peter. Okay.
So many of these conflicts seem so slapdash, like last second. Like, I don't know, his girlfriend's his boss and he can't deal with it. Bobby wants to race cars. Yeah, sure. We'll go out and film him in a car for a few hours. Like, it seems so bizarre. And again, I thought Sydney's was the dumbest. Like, I kind of didn't want to come home.
Because she wanted to go to Aspen with her. She's a college girl.
With her friends.
She doesn't like to be told. She doesn't like to be told to come home. She'd like to be asked. I could kind of relate to that. Like youngest, in college when you just want, you're kind of distant from your family, even if your family's the Bradys. You're kind of, wanting to spread and the family apparently are not as close as we thought because they haven't all been together in a long time, right? That's the whole reason, which makes me a little sad, You think that maybe they would find time to get together.
Did everyone else really like when Cindy's roommate was like, "Hey, it's your dad," and he sounds cute?
And Cindy's like, "He's not cute. He's dad."
Right.
Yes. Now, I think that Belinda, who was her roommate, was the token black girl. They were like, give her a black roommate.
Clearly.
Well, and later we have the token black guy, the mechanic or
He's a police officer.
With Bobby.
I was thinking of the police officer at the end who's handling the unruly crowd.
Oh,
the building,
that's right.
And he's like, come on, just get back.
Yeah.
That's it.
The unruly crowd. Oh, my gosh.
When Peter goes into his girlfriend's office and they really start making out, like, it is a weird, like, almost late night Cinemax, like, beginning of a softcore scene.
Sexy sex.
Yeah, you're right. Because it came
sex.
right in. And I was like, this seems highly inappropriate
Sexy
for
sex.
a TV
I love
movie.
No, they're
but
very passionate. Again, very passionate.
Yeah, and the thing is, I was watching this with my boyfriend, Jason, and he said that Valerie, who was, you know, Peter's boss, that she was just a cheap Aunt Becky knockoff. Aunt Becky being from Full House, of course. That she was just like the, oh, hello, well, I'd love to meet your friend. Da-da-da-da-da. Like, she's trying to be Lori Loughlin. She just can't.
You know? No,
she is much dirtier than Lori Loughlin. When she tells him that he's the boss from 5 to 9. Oh my God.
Right.
I'm the boss from 9 to 5, but you're the boss from 5 to 9.
So awesome.
And Peter actually thinks about it. Like, he's like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. This is really bizarre.
She just had to, like, bloat up his male ego because he wasn't the boss.
And did you notice later on, when they're all sitting around at dinner and she gets up to talk, and Peter says, Dad, I don't think we should let her talk. She's not part of the family.
Yes,
family.
Yes.
What is
he
happening?
That was rude.
Yeah. But she's a feminist, so she sticks up for herself, right? Doesn't she get all...
She ends up then, I think, right? At the end, but, you know.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. We'll get to that
Speaking
point.
of sexiness, there's more sexiness that ensues now with
There's too much sexiness
there
for
is,
a Brady
it's
movie.
constant. So now... Carol is getting ready to kind of woo Mike into making the right decision with this guy, right? For the structure.
Ted Roberts.
Yes, the Ted Roberts. And she's lighting candles and she's wearing this awful brown dress and she's preparing this speech to Alice, of course, who's there, does third wheel in it. About like how
third wheel in it.
She's got the red wine, right?
Oh yeah.
She's gonna kind of try to ease Mike a little bit about letting up on this whole situation. Again, it's just,
but it doesn't work because he's aware of it. It's just kind of like
right.
Oh, he talked to you? Yeah, he talked to me. He wants to blah 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 and everything, and it comes to nothing. But
no, it's such a weird random side plot that they just need to have so that our amazing ending can happen.
Right, so that we can tack on an extra 10 minutes at the end of this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just like quick resolution, just like a sitcom. Yeah. Did you notice that? Everything gets resolved way too fast.
Amazingly quick.
Ooh, Greg Brady also is making out with his wife in his office when an elderly other nurse, the secretary, I don't know, the nurse who almost doesn't seem to understand that they're married, like her reaction to him saying, oh, I'm just teaching this nurse mouth to mouth. She is appalled by this.
She's appalled. She's like, what? In the office, she should know they're married, right?
Yes. She clearly works there. She's a name tag on. Like, at first I thought it was just an odd, disheveled elderly patient that didn't know where they were. But no, she has a little name tag on and everything, so.
She's like a candy striper, like one of those volunteers.
Like, oh no, what did I volunteer for?
Yeah. Now, can I say something about Cindy really quick?
Please.
Okay. So Cindy is the only one we've established who was not the original cast member.
Right.
The woman that's playing her is Jennifer Runyon. Do you recognize her from a certain 80s sitcom?
She
No?
does look very familiar. From what? From Saved by the Bell? No.
Just the 10 of
Oh,
us.
that's a good guess.
No.
Just the 10 of us is a good guess, too. But she was Gwendolyn Pierce, who was the object of Charles's affection on Charles.
Charles in Charge! Yes!
She was in the early episodes before Nicole Egger, when there was the other family. And then she also was in the opening scene with Bill Murray in Ghostbusters, when he was doing the psychic cards.
Yeah.
And she was the hot girl.
Wow. She did seem more capable than most in this. Does that seem somewhat accurate? Like, she seemed to be having fun with the part, and
well, she had a heavier role to carry. She wasn't an original.
That's right.
She wasn't.
She had to bring her game face, and I think she did.
She wasn't phoning it in like most of these people were.
Exactly. But that's what I think she'll be known for in her career more as, you were Cindy when she was on her honeymoon.
And she's not in anything much anymore, right? She's not really...
No, not really. I mean, she's there listening to that generic 80s music with her black roommate, trying to, like, really be like, that's right, I'm your Cindy Brady for the hour, like...
I like how they kind of addressed that she's not Cindy Brady, but I think they could have taken it further. I like when Alice goes to pick them all up at the airport. That's her job,
the
which
airport
is insane.
Run.
How she goes to a different girl first and starts to walk with her.
Yeah, just another random blonde girl.
And then... when they get to the house, Greg even says something like, "Oh, Cindy, you look so different. You don't even have your curls anymore."
Yeah, no more curls.
Yeah.
She's a college girl now.
But I feel like they could have done more than that. Like, remember in Roseanne when the other Becky came? And at one point, Roseanne's talking to somebody, and she goes, "And our daughter, she came back from college. We barely even recognized her." Like, I thought that was really smart and really funny.
Yeah.
And they could have done something like that in here, but they chose not to.
Yeah, I think they weren't all about the wittiness. Right. I think that little thing in the airport was like their nod to it. They were like, okay, we've acknowledged it. Back to that wacky montage with Alice carrying everyone's bags.
Oh my God. Well, because that's the thing. So now it's happening.
Would you send Alice to an airport to pick everybody up? Like,
why would Alice? I felt so bad for her.
Yes.
Why would Alice? Like, okay, so the deal then is the whole family is coming. The reunion is happening. So Carol and Mike have the daunting task of figuring out the sleeping arrangements. Are we going to put 2 hammocks on the deck? What's going to happen? They are left to figure that out. I love it. Then the night before, I think they figured out they're laying in bed again. Another little sexual reference, and Carol's laying there and she's just all excited and giddy, and Mike looks at her and she's like, "Mike, I'm beaming." And he looks at her and he goes, "Do you want to see me beam?" What?
More
How
sex
much Brady
in
business is going down in this movie? I don't know.
The Brady boudoir.
No, right? If you will.
Yes.
So, this montage that happens, is this the first musical montage? Aside from the opening?
This is because Alice is picking them up at the airport at the same time that they're like setting up cots.
Oh my God! It's Operation Put Room Together. Unrolling sleeping bags, putting up cots, pushing mattresses up the stairs. While
do we ever really get to see the kids' bedrooms? I feel like a lot of it takes place in his office. A lot of it takes place in the living room, even their exercise room. But did we even see the kids' bedrooms?
I don't think we
do.
Do you remember that?
Like, I don't know, were those sets destroyed? Like, was it like, we don't have that anymore? Or, like, I'm trying to think of who was in those rooms, because I thought we saw everybody in bed, but maybe not.
I don't
know. We do see them all in there, but you don't see them in, like, you can't distinguish it being in someone's bedroom. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they just kind of throw them out on like the couches. Yeah,
plus, when their kids are gone, like they wouldn't have that stupid clown picture in the like. Why would they have that on the wall of the boys' room anymore?
Oh, but the one thing I want to say about Bobby is
I wanted to go back to Bobby. What did you think about
he's lying, right?
That he's lying. Yes, they think he's in business school, and he is not. He is a race car driver. Right?
Far from
very
it. Right?
Dangerous. Yeah. Very dangerous. I love how when they're making all the calls again to say the reunion's on, come find us. It's so random, especially now with like cell phones and everything. They call a payphone to find Bobby.
To find Bobby on the racetrack, yeah.
And Bobby tells them while he's on a loud racetrack that he's at the library.
And they're doing construction outside, right?
So what did you think about Bobby being a race car driver? Did you think, like, could they have pushed the edge? Because you kind of thought, in the first phone call she makes to Bobby, we just see him kind of eating pizza and looking bachelor and sloppy.
Yeah.
And I thought...
He had, like, these weird overalls on. I'm like, what, does he work in the sewer?
Yeah.
Like,
I thought we were going to get scandalous and, like, Bobby had a drug problem. Or it's the Bradys. So were we really going to go there? But... turns out he's just a race car driver.
Well, I thought we were right. I thought we were going to get Bobby is the blue collar son.
Yeah.
But no, like that's what I really thought that would be smart when they're like, no, he decided not to go to school. He's Bobby. He's not that sharp. This is what he does, you know. But no, like a race car driver, he's racing around in like a mud track with other car.
Yeah, it's more
I'm
like Demolition Derby.
Doing? Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't exactly. It was more Demolition Derby, but I think that they did that because they did it as a back door pilot. Because in the Brady's, he actually. I hope this isn't a spoiler, but
no,
it was so much more serious. He got into a car accident in the very first episode, and he was paralyzed and in a wheelchair in that episode.
God. They kind of foreshadowed to that during the toast. Don't you remember? So when I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but
sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I'm not going to watch that now. I'm terrified of that.
It was because it was too serious. It wasn't fun-loving, and it was also the first time. This movie is the first time we ever see Mike Lookinland blonde, because Bobby was always used to dye his hair brown. He was blonde for the first time, and a lot of people probably didn't recognize him unless they said Bobby. You know?
No, if you looked at those teeth, they're the same monstrous teeth that he had as a child.
Yes. No, they definitely are. You're right. Okay, I'm sorry. Moving on.
All right, so everybody gets home, and, you know, there's a little bit of reunion and everything, and they get... Is it Christmas Eve right away? Right? Is it that first night is Christmas Eve, right?
I think so. They're
decorating the tree.
Yeah,
they're
decorating the tree.
Christmas has got to get started. And I love how when they all come in, they greet each other for such a long period of time. There's so many hugs and greets and little like background chatter that happens. By the way, Greg shows up without Nora. With his son, who's kind of a shithead. Right? Like
the one kid calls him a sloth or something.
No, he's a slug.
Slug. Okay,
Kevin's the slug because he has no personality. But let me just tell you, if you look that kid up now on IMDb, that actor grew up to be a hottie McHottie.
True story.
You gotta see him.
Yes.
The slug, not the red-haired kid, right?
The slug.
All right.
The red-haired kid is probably dead now. He probably OD'd next to, like, you know, one of the lesser-known facts of life. I don't know. But the one who played Kevin, I looked him up, and I was like, wow, this kid's hot.
Wow.
You know, he looks great.
There is no lesser-known facts of life, girls. I'll just put that out there.
This is true. We know them.
Well, you mean from the first season when there were a ton of them?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Very good. Molly Ringwald was one of them, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
She was in the first season, and then Juliette Lewis was in the last season.
Oh, my God. All right, I don't know that much. Wow.
Okay, sorry.
Now y'all got me thinking about facts of life.
I digress.
Yeah, gee.
I do that a lot, sorry.
I do like how Greg and Nora, even though Nora's not there, they're the only ones that seem to have it together. Like, they're the only ones that don't have an issue that needs to be solved. I mean... Yeah, she shows up at the end, but it wouldn't have mattered if she didn't. Like, they were still totally fine.
Their issue is their kid. Their kid is a little shit, and that's their issue.
That kid's not a problem. I don't know why you have an issue with that kid.
He's so rude. He says something weird. What does he say to the grandpa? Mike messes up his hair. He's like, Grandpa, don't mess up my hair. And then he wears later on, like the other kid, the redhead kid, won't take a pee by himself, which is weird. And he's like, can you come with me to take a pee? And the douchebag kid has to, like, put a robe on before he walks down the stairs. He's, like, 7 years old. What's he strutting around in a robe for?
Wow, you have some odd issues with that kid. Okay.
Yeah, and did you guys find it weird too? Maybe it was too early, but there were only 3 Brady grandchildren.
Yeah.
I would think there would be a lot. I mean, maybe the other ones were just young, but there were only 3.
Well, Jan had clearly her marriage is having issues, so she didn't produce any kids.
Ooh, they even make weird innuendos about them having kids. I thought it was odd when Mike said something to them about kids and grandkids and all that, and I was like, "Ooh, don't talk about
they all
that."
ran away.
Yeah, he brought up some inappropriate. Yeah, that's true. They so Christmas happens. The men don't the boys get the tree and they set it up. The women make the eggnog and then they Christmas carol together because that's what Brady's do when they get together. Like
they
that's
break
something.
in the song several times.
My whole family was just together for Christmas, and we all live far places from each other. So when we're together, it's a wonderful thing. But we do not Christmas carol. And it does not look like a Brady Christmas. I'm just letting y'all know that is not how it goes down. But, we're not Brady. So, yes, Mr. Brady makes everybody feel sort of uncomfortable when he tries to kind of make small talk with everyone. He says all the inappropriate things that make everyone walk away. Our redheaded friend, who we all hate, gets to put the star on the tree.
Yes, and slides down the banister.
Oh, and Mr. Brady is going to wring that kid's neck.
Threatens him, right?
You do that again, that's going to be the last thing you do. Or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, this is going to be your last Christmas or something. And I was like, damn!
Yeah.
No, I thought that was pretty edgy for Mr. Brady, but that was just me.
They're all in separate rooms then when they sleep. And they try and...
Yes.
pair up couples, but not really, because
it's weird how they pair
Peter's
the
not married, so I guess they can't put him with his girlfriend.
Valerie.
Val, right?
Yeah. So
this is before Bosley,
right.
So he
yes. So he and Bobby are out on the couch, right? Couches.
Yes.
Peter and Bobby.
Yes, Peter and Bobby are on the couches.
Peter's wearing a nightgown.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Yes, it's a weird turn of the century, night shirt.
Yeah, really long.
Yeah.
I thought that was very strange.
Yeah. And you could see the outline of his tidy whities at one point when he gets
I was going to say, there were a couple times where, because he kept laying down on the couch and the camera was, I'm not saying you could see right up there, but it was pretty dark. I wasn't looking for it, but if I was, I could probably see something.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting that the only couple that was together was Jan. It was Jan and Philip, Marcia and her neurotic husband.
Yeah, but they had the daughter in between them.
Yes, the little girl, and they said it would have been better with Mickey in here because he was all neurotic, thinking about his job.
Yeah, he
and
freaks
Christmas
out.
coming.
Yeah, he has a little breakdown.
His performance was aggravating.
Where is he
got
from?
Out of bed,
what is he?
What is he?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
What do you mean? What is he like? Is he like
what was he doing? Where did he come from? Why would? First of all, he looks kind of like a. I don't know. She could have done better.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Marcia.
I kind of thought Marcia was
going
to be a little I don't know. He's like a 5.
with Davy Jones?
Yeah, maybe. She should have been. I don't know. I was disappointed in her choice. Sure, he's a toy maker. Maybe he's got a lot of knowledge in the bottle of evil hidden away somewhere. I don't know.
Maybe.
But
apparently he spawns evil children too.
I
so
know.
she's totally screwed.
And he can't even hold down a job. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's I love how the whole time too she's very we kind of glossed over when they first arrive they're outside the door and she's kind of making fun of him. Kids, remember, don't tell grandma and grandpa Dad lost a job. He doesn't want them to know.
He's mental.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was guaranteed a spot on this because he was in the Brady Brides too. So they were like, "Oh, well, we have to carry over."
Was he handsome
the same
in
actor?
the Brady Brides? What? They just thought Marcia should go for a toy maker? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they thought they wanted to bring her back down to earth because she was so all about her hair and
I appreciate that then. Okay. Fair enough.
Big nose.
Fair enough.
Yes, exactly. But you have to remember Maureen McCormick. She had a big coke problem around this time, which she just came out recently in a big tell-all. So maybe she was just like, whatever, pair me with anyone. I don't care.
Gotcha.
Pair me
Yeah.
with a loser
Give me
schlub.
bangs this time. I want bangs. And they gave her.
Seriously.
So after, I think, Bobby kind of helps Peter out with his problem, his issue where he's dating a woman who makes more money than him.
He gives a very heartwarming
Yeah.
little.
I
come
do
on,
like
it's
how
kind
he
of
says,
endearing.
if you just put your money together and divide it in half, it's like you have the same salary.
So sweet.
Like,
So
that's adorable.
sweet.
You're supposed
Bobby, you big idiot. I love it.
You're supposed to be in business school.
But then he admits,
Yes,
though,
he
he
confesses.
confesses to Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's like, they think I'm in grad school adding assets and debits and
Somebody wrote this
dividends,
script that was
whatever.
like, I don't know anything about business school. Let me just write down words that sound like
Wait,
money.
Multiplications and divisions. There we go.
Yes.
There you go.
Assets
then
and
he
annuities.
admits,
It's a sweet moment between brothers, I gotta tell you,
It
except
is.
that Peter's wearing a damn nightgown. Why couldn't they put him in freaking just like, I don't know, Old Navy pajama pants? Like, what are we doing?
I don't think Adrienne Curry would not approve. She would make fun of
She would
that.
be like, no husband of mine wears a nightgown from the 19th century. P.S. Jan is wearing a diaper. I don't know what they put her in. Are those supposed to be like...
When she was sleeping
Yes!
with Philip, she
They
was
were
wearing
like
a diaper?
over,
Really?
just not flattering. It looked like an adult diaper.
wow.
It was like this loose... You didn't notice it?
You know what? I didn't, but I always say this. My husband and I always watch reruns of Dynasty, right?
Oh, love it.
And there is Pamela Sue Martin was the one snotty daughter, Fallon, and towards the end of the series, her wardrobe goes drastically downhill, and we always think, you know what? I bet you she was a bitch to work with.
Yes!
She probably pissed off the wardrobe people, and they put her in this
They
stuff
were
to
just
kind
like,
of teach
here.
her a lesson. I think they did that with Eve Plum. Do you?
Yeah, I could very much agree because they knew that she just could care less. It was that they were like, well, fine. Then this is what we... Again, no hair, no makeup, and you have to wear gentlemen's boxers and look like you shit your pants while you cover up.
You know what?
And
you won't see until later.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll be too late.
It'll be a little too
Because
late.
You
Exactly.
screwed us over, you Plum.
P.S.
What
I
have you done?
did think that Philip, I thought was a fairly decent looking, and I mean, I liked his whole little I'm the nerdy professor plot line there.
But I guess it's before the kids all end up in the kitchen.
Oh, yes, the kids, yeah. So we see them where they're all laid out, essentially. And then they
all their problems are out there.
Yes, they all slowly migrate to the kitchen, and they all eat Alice's pies while they just kind of hang together. There's 2 pies.
That sounds dirty, huh?
It does. As I wrote it down, I said they eat Alice's pie. You eat Alice's pie when you can't sleep. That's just what you do.
Yeah.
You sleep. You dig right in. It's so moist
and
and
they're
delicious.
all hiding a secret, but the biggest secret of all is that Robert Reed was gay and was HIV positive, which people still did not know back then. That was a big blow to everyone when that came out.
It makes me so sad that... Oh, it makes me sad.
I know. They all had great things to say about him, too. They said he was great.
I can't imagine that wouldn't be true. I mean, it's weird to say that he seemed like such a great guy.
No, I agree.
But boy,
he
he seemed like
he seems swell.
What's his name? Jack Tripper. Why can't I think of his real name? Like
John
he
Ritter.
seemed like he was such a good guy.
Yeah.
And you really do hear that. Like it's I don't know. You can't fake that sometimes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like Eve Plum is a bitch, clearly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and she'll always be remembered for that.
Being a bitch. That's why they... well, after they eat their pies together, after they eat pie together and kind of have a... Now, Jan and... I love this when Philip wakes up and he's literally sleeping in a drawer.
In the drawer.
He opens another drawer, so then
he's sleeping in that.
Yes,
but so now, this is...
in the dad's office.
Well, the night before she covers him up. We do see that.
Oh, and that's the debate, right? And we see her go to bed all bitter because she always covers him up and he never notices.
Right.
But now he wakes up in the drawer and Carol is waking everybody up
She just
for breakfast.
bursts right in, which seems...
Which seems inappropriate. appropriate. Yeah, they're a married couple here. And this is really funny because when she bursts in on them, they kind of have it out. They fight with each other in front of her. They hash out their all their issues within, I don't know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
And it's not even that long.
All of a sudden, she's like, I never said I would give up on you. You mean we can try? And they heavy make out, and Carol's like, oh, okay, I'll excuse myself. You guys could be late. Again, Brady business. Be late for breakfast. You guys could be late for breakfast while you get it on. Don't worry, Dad and I do it whenever I wear the brown dress. It's all good. What? So which is nice though. Carol helps her Jan get her marriage back together, which is very nice. And now Wally is on a jog with Mike, right?
Yes, and Mickey, the redhead, the ginger. Right. Yes.
And this is when Mike introduces Wally to their neighbor, Mr. Prescott, right? Who happens to also be a twin?
Show, or is he just introduced because of this odd plot line?
I think it's like a coincidence. Like, hey, guess what? My neighbor.
Right, but I don't know if he was a neighbor from the original show.
Was he actually in the show?
Yeah, was he a neighbor from the original show at all? Like, did they ever leave their house?
I think he just stumbled onto did anybody else notice that he had a tag hanging from his robe? Like,
no, but that's a good catch.
Look, you can see it looks like somebody didn't pull like the tag off of his robe. It's just like hanging. I was like, wait, so where was this guy just hanging out like in a Ross Dress for Less? And they were like, come on, quick.
We
need a toy.
Yeah, with all those bad candy canes, like the holiday decorations. When I first saw this, I was in 5th grade. Living in, Pennsylvania, and I was used to seeing snow on the ground at Christmas time.
Oh, right.
And this was in California. So it was like, this is the first time I ever saw, holiday decorations with no snow on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
It looked out of place to me.
It did. I mean, they're going for a jog. They're all sweaty, but you're right. There's just these big cardboard or wooden candy canes just laid out in the front of their house or in the front of somebody's house. But yeah, so it's very coincidental. Oh, here's my neighbor. He owns a big toy company. Oh, it's too bad my son-in-law has such a great job as a salesman because you need a salesman, don't you? Yeah. And da-da-da. Yeah. And it's revealed that the red-haired moron spilled the beans to Mike. And
help Mike facilitate some good.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And then I guess the next thing is the big Christmas dinner with all that, right?
Yes. When they all sit down.
At the kids' table.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Cindy's at the kids' table. What the fuck?
Thing.
I know.
I love that.
And she's clearly too big for it. Like, she's clearly, hunched over an adult in a kid chair at a kid-sized table.
And it is not...
Whatever. And when they tell her to come to the adult table, she's like... Actually, I like being at the...
We're in the middle of a game.
We got a game going on.
Yeah, we got a game going on.
What kind of a game? Because then she just sits down and that's it. That's so insulting. Like, Bobby is at the adult table.
Bobby, the race car driver, is over at the adult table.
He's probably, like a year,
right?
maybe
2
years older than Cindy.
Yeah. He's like a month older.
Yeah.
But, that's so insulting. Like, they can't fit her in.
Yeah, really. They can get rid of the Aunt Becky knockoff and just
yeah. I like then when Nora comes later, they even make a seat for Nora.
They do.
Yeah,
they do. Right. Oh my god.
But Dad, this is when Mike gives a beautiful toast about their 20th anniversary, right? And how they find strength in God and in each other. And being Brady. And he had planned this because he goes over, like, he never gets to finish it. And a couple of times he's like, I never got to finish that toast. And I think finally Carol's like, oh, who cares? Like, stop it with the toast already.
Well, yeah, because then the confessions come out.
Well, because, as he's like warming, everybody's kind of feeling the spirit and feeling his toast. So first it starts with Wally. Don't be sorry, just be Wally. Right?
Yeah.
It's the worst line in this entire movie.
Yes, that is bad.
So Wally comes out to say that he just not honest with the family because he didn't tell them about the job, right?
Right. Yeah, he tried to keep it from everyone. Yeah,
he was dishonest. And now again, awkward makeout once he confesses himself, and like all of a sudden, like she's hot for him, and she can't wait to get her hands on him.
Marsha.
Marsha's hot for him, and can't wait to get her hands on him, and they just start making out at the dinner table, obnoxiously.
Yes.
Cindy confesses that she's mad about being little Cindy. Of course, what else does she have to bitch about? Like, she's a gorgeous blonde in college. Like, what do you really have? Oh, I could have been here or at Aspen. In Aspen. Oh, tough life, Cindy.
Yes.
Like, let's get over it, right?
I could have been on my honeymoon.
Exactly. Yeah. I could be in Jamaica, Mom. And then Bobby gives his confession of being a race car driver. And can you be honest? Like, so he confesses, and clearly Carol and Mike are not happy. Like, Carol's like,
they think it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, and it is. And he's really, like, very just cool and accepting, and is like, well, maybe it's not what you want from me, but it's what I need to do right now. And I still don't feel like they're okay with it. I still just feel like they're like,
I really feel like they're totally
right.
fine with everything else that's going on. They're like, well, you know what? I didn't end up doing what my parents wanted me to do, and did you?
Did you?
Well, okay. I guess we have to accept this loser son that we have.
Yeah. Our other son, one's a doctor, one's a businessman.
The other one?
I do
race
love
car
it at the
driver.
very beginning when Peter's in his office and somebody comes in and puts a huge stack of papers in his in pile.
Yeah, they
and
did.
he just looks
I
all
remember
flummoxed. Yeah.
But, and then in between this, though, while people are confessing, Alice keeps peeking
Case
in.
of the missing pies.
Yes,
I felt
and saying,
so bad for her. I was like, is nobody going to tell her that they ate these pies? Because she comes in, 2, 3 times?
Oh, yeah.
Well, one time
and then
she comes,
it's always
right?
the most awkward times.
Yeah, one time she comes in when Bobby is like, right? During Bobby's confession.
Yeah.
That's not a
very
good time.
serious.
Peter and Val. So Peter and Val in a very modern way, I guess. So Val gets advice from, is it Cindy that gives her the advice to like, because Val's whole issue is that she does want to marry Peter, but Peter won't ask because Val is his boss and it's awkward for Peter. So Cindy's like, well, you just ask him. Like, you're a woman, ask him. So Val decides she's going to propose to Peter. Of course, Peter still wants to do the proposing. So they, like, right, doesn't, Carol gives him a countdown.
Carol tells them, she's like, listen, I'll count down, and then both of you ask the question at the same time. And I'm like, this could go horribly wrong. If they are not going to say the same thing, and he's going to say, I think we should see other people, and she's proposing, like, there's a good chance that this goes really bad.
Yeah,
but
Or Valerie's like, I'm pregnant.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. It could have gone horribly wrong.
But they don't,
in classic Brady fashion,
it's perfect.
It's
Although, do
great.
you hear Mike Brady's response?
no.
He goes, that's the dumbest proposal I ever heard.
What?
Did you hear him say that?
I
I don't
did
remember
not
that.
hear that. It sounds
He's
amazing.
like, that's the
though.
dumbest proposal I ever heard. I was like, well,
This is when I'm watching it on Hulu or something, and I'm like, okay, well, the end of the movie, and I track over, and I'm like, wait, there's 10 minutes left. What are they going to do for 10 minutes?
the best is
you're
yet
right.
to come, people.
But then the call comes in that there's been a cave-in on the job site, right?
Yes.
And
Dangerous
why is
cave-in.
he responsible? Why does he
Well-
need to go there?
I have never heard of an architect needing to be there during these times.
During Christmas
You
dinner.
never heard of it, but the reporter did, because when he shows up, she's like, are you the architect? And tries to interview him.
Oh my God, I love that. Wait. Okay. So the call comes in, and there's been a crash at the site, and now there was another architect hired, but he's out of town, and Mike's the only architect in town to deal with this problem. And
Ted Roberts.
Yes.
You need an architect.
I don't know. I don't understand why they don't just call in the rescue crew, but they want an architect to, I guess, assess the state of the building before they do anything to try to remove these 2 security guards, I think, who are trapped in there.
Yes.
So there's security guards trapped in the building. Mike can't even start. He's about to carve the turkey when the call comes in, and he can't even carve the turkey. He has to go to deal with the collapsed building, and fucking Carol's pissed because this is the dinner and you didn't even finish your toast.
She's like, fucking Ted Roberts
Yeah.
is fucking me up again,
Exactly.
right?
She's like, Ted Roberts, like Newman, he's busting her shit.
Yeah.
So he goes to the site, and I love it. Right on site is a newscast. Like, this is big news for the town.
It's huge.
She's like,
yeah, on Christmas Day.
yes, on Christmas Day, these workers are stuck in the building that's not really falling down. It just looks like a crappy building. And Mike swoops in, and she's like, are you the architect? Are you here to save the day?
Yes.
Because we've been waiting for you. And he swoops in, right? Doesn't he decide what is his solution? Was to knock something down?
He thinks it's some beam it's something that, like, he thinks that should be adjusted, but he knew how to get them out.
Yeah. Yes, he knew how to get them out, but now he has to go.
And he can't explain this to any sort of professionals at
No,
all.
no,
He needs to go in.
No. He's got no time.
No.
I don't want to call him an elderly man, but he's an older gentleman. He should not be doing this.
No.
Agreed. But but the funny thing is then after the commercial break, quote unquote, all of a sudden the whole family's behind yellow tape, and they're all there gathered, waiting for Mike to come out safely. Just waiting.
Yeah, they're not even really. There's no rescue crews called because the rescue crews can't. They're not allowed even in. So the family is just hoping that they just emerge.
Yeah, you see an ambulance, but no fire truck, no,
they're just waiting.
No help whatsoever for these people.
But then all of a sudden, well, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I know the guards then come out.
They emerge. The 2 security guards emerge, and nobody tries to help them out. They just stumble out, and people just like clap, like, "Yay, you made it!" And they're just like. They're filthy and climbing out like...
They stumble out and like collapse.
Traumatized.
And then the paramedics seem to go over to them.
Yeah.
Yes, and they say that Mike was right behind them, but then when he wasn't, then Greg goes, "Mom, I'm going in there." And they're like,
goes under the
Greg!
police tape and everything.
Yes, and then Peter's like, "My dad's in there," and then it's big drama.
Yeah.
Oh, it's high impact drama.
Right.
And what's Carol to do? I mean, her husband of 20 years...
Yes.
Christmas Day.
The only reasonable solution to this problem.
Oh, come all ye faithful. All together now. Let's do it. And she does.
Yes.
She gets...
Another flashback.
Yes, because what was that episode? Which Christmas episode was that? Do you...
Yeah.
Well, it was the...
It was one of the first ones because Cindy still had like the original curls, so it was probably like the second season.
And she did have a voice like an angel then.
Yes.
She doesn't sing quite as magnificently, but she's still lovely voice. And she gets the whole family, and it's mostly the family. We're meant to believe there's a bunch of people at the crash site, but it's the Bradys, they travel deep, so there's a lot of them.
They're 95% of that crowd.
Right. So they all sing. They all sing the beautiful "Oh Come All Ye Faithful," and by the grace of God, by the grace of the Lord Jesus Himself, who is to emerge.
Mike's able to wander
building.
out,
and he just looks a little
out.
dirty. He doesn't even look like he was crushed or anything.
He wasn't hurt.
No.
Now the funny thing is in that flashback episode, Cindy said, "Do you remember when you lost your voice at Christmas?" And I asked Santa for your voice back.
Yes.
And then she goes up to Mike and says, "Daddy, Daddy," with her Swiss Miss lisp. And she says, Santa's going to give Mommy her voice back. And he's like, "Oh, how do you know?" And she goes, "He's better than a doctor. He's Santa Claus." So there we go. And then we see them in church, which is funny. I've never seen the Bradys in church other than that episode. And you would think they were God-fearing.
Yeah.
Clearly.
You would think, right?
Yeah. I also thought they would have a waspier, like Martha Stewart tree than they did. They had a wimpy Christmas tree,
They did sort of have a very delicate Christmas
They have
tree.
an enormous living room. I mean, that's a vaulted
they
ceiling.
could really
that
go
could
to
go
town
up for
with that.
days. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then of course, when the Christmas miracle comes, what does the reporter say? "I just noticed the street sign."
Oh, dear. When this happened, I was like, really, Brady's? We're going to do this. What street is it, Pat? Tell us.
She goes, "It looks like there's another miracle on 34th Street." I was like, wow.
But then it's still not over.
It's still not over. This movie
still
does not end.
over. So when the miracle at 34th Street happened and Mike has emerged from and the toast, can the toast finally happen? We're back. We're trying to have our dinner, which is now cold.
Did you just
I
call
think
him
they even
Michael?
Yeah, I did.
Michael.
When I take him seriously, I call him Michael. Okay? And I take him seriously when he leaves falling down buildings, he's a Michael.
After that incident, he deserves to be called Michael.
Do you know what I'm saying? Exactly. So dinner is about to happen. The family, Nora is there, and Mike doesn't he have like a little cast? Like he can't stand up. Don't I remember like he looks a little beat up?
He was just in a collapsed building. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Anyway, there's a knock on the door. Who could it be? Who could it be? We're just trying to have our dinner now.
What plot line is not resolved at this point?
Exactly.
There's one, and she's wandering around, probably still looking for pies.
Yes, it is. And it is Santa, right?
Yes,
Sure.
ho, ho, ho.
Santa. Yes, and they just let him in, even though they don't know who the hell he
they're
is.
right.
And how are the kids not freaking out? Like, how do the kids not just mob this guy? We don't even see the kids anymore. They're not even in this movie anymore.
The redheaded kid ate the other two kids.
He murdered. They're in the fireplace.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
he killed them for drug money.
So the Santa comes, and Santa is Sam. Right?
Sam the Butcher.
The Butcher, and for some reason, lonely Alice takes him back when he begs for her forgiveness, because it's Christmas after all. How could he not forgive her? Or she not forgive him? And now we can finally end the Brady movie, because everyone's
tied up.
is happy and together.
That's
and
it.
all.
Exactly. And what did they end it on? They ended on, "We wish you a Merry Christmas."
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So,
and
Pat,
they do.
I have a quick question for you. How many more Brady movies were there after this? You talked about the series, but were there any more movies? Any more TV movies or no?
There were no more TV movies that I know of, as far as I know. So this was 88.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 1990, Sherwood Schwartz developed The Bradys, and it was only one season, and it was they called it Brady something because it was very serious, and Bobby was paraplegic, and there was no Maureen McCormick. She was in rehab, but I have to tell you, I was not happy with it. I watched it when I was little, and I was like, "This sucks."
Too heavy.
I was like, I was 11 watching this, thinking, "This isn't the Brady's."
Yeah,
I
can see that.
So then as far as I know, the next thing is the movie. The movie in like 95, I think that was.
Yes.
Yeah, which, of course, I'm sure you guys will agree with me. I love that because it did not take itself seriously.
Yes,
it was very
that's
parody.
right. It was a great parody, yeah.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I love this movie, Very Brady Christmas, because it ends with the credits with that jazzy, updated theme song, and then it mixes in Christmas classics, and then at the end, everyone is in a blue Brady square, and I always wanted to be in a blue Brady square.
You did.
So didn't you?
Of course, I wanted to look up.
I loved it.
I wanted to look up and around. That's why I also wanted to play on Hollywood Squares so badly, because Hollywood Squares was like being
it was like
Brady
that.
Square. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally was. I mean, I think maybe I thought it was the same thing when I was little, but I just totally adored this, and the fact that it rated so high. I think CBS reran it then in the new year because they knew people were on vacation.
And they would rewatch,
milk that Brady,
Smart, very smart.
They did, but then they did that movie, and then when the movie did so well in like 95, TV Land did a huge reunion special where they had Jenny McCarthy, of all people, hosted. Yeah, she hosted it, and they all came out. They all were there, so they were paying.
Oh yeah, to just show,
They did. They were all there except for Robert Reed, and they were it was like a 2-hour special, and it rated through the roof. Rated through the roof for them. So
but people like
the Bradys just have like rating power.
They have a cult power.
Still.
Well, yeah, because I mean, what we love about the Bradys is that whole cheeseball family togetherness, and that is what I enjoyed about this movie. Is that going into a Very Brady Christmas, you knew, like I said, I joked about, maybe Bobby was going to have a drug habit. Like, we knew we were going to just feel good by the end of this. Like, we were just going to want to, and Alice, I mean, it did give you a nostalgic feeling. Now, watching it now, I have to know, now you're a fan, so maybe not. Doug, what DP, give us the down low.
I don't think we need to ask Pat if he would recommend this movie. I think that's a straight up...
Because I would.
He's like, yes, I'm watching. Pat's like, I'm watching it right now.
Right. For Pat, I think it's essential viewing. That is what he would say.
It's campy
about this.
and
right.
cold, and
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree to a certain degree. Now, if you are into the Bradys, you should see this, and you probably have seen this.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you have never watched the show or have just watched a little bit of the show,
it wouldn't make
I don't think it would make any sense. I think it would just seem like a huge mess. Like, there were certain times where I'm like, this is a disaster. Like, this whole thing, trying to mush all these mostly dumb plot lines together.
Right.
Like, it was really tough. I don't want to say it was tough to get through at times because I enjoyed the parts I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted them to go to Greece, didn't you?
I kind of did. Like, I really kind of did. Like, you're right. At the beginning, Pat, when they showed that house and everything like that, I was like, oh, it's so neat to see their house, quote unquote, updated. And then I was like
with IKEA.
I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, we're watching a fucking hour, 40-minute episode of the Brady's. Like,
that's exactly what it was.
It didn't feel any different. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe not. I don't know. I'd give it a waffling, maybe recommend. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, the whole nostalgia, like, I like it now because it's campy,
right.
But when I first saw it, it was just, I want to know what they look like now. I want to know what, is Marcia married? Is Jan this? Right. Is Bobby this? Like, you want to know what they're all doing now, and that's why reunion movies do so well. Look at the Growing Pains one, like you said. You wanted to know what Tracy would look like if she had survived her bout of anorexia.
Right.
You wanted to know if Leonardo DiCaprio was going to be there. Just like coming up in February, Fuller House.
Oh, yeah.
You want to know what they all look like, but the teaser for that doesn't even show them. It shows just the house and their voices because you know what they look like, kind of, but you haven't seen them all together in a while because the Olsen twins have been
right.
existing.
That's the thing, and that's why I don't think this will be the same thing, is because we know what they all look like. Uncle Jesse has a show on TV right now. Like, what's her name? The oldest daughter was just on Dancing with the Stars.
Candace?
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we know.
Oh, she's on The View, too. Yeah.
Right, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we know what these people look like, but...
Very
and
true.
I think that's the tough thing about watching a movie like this now, 6 years later, something like that. Like, we don't, Pat, what it was like then. I don't. Like, I didn't watch it then. My parents didn't watch it then. I wasn't aware of it then. So it was so different when it came out.
Yeah, there was also no internet
then.
Right.
So nobody could Google somebody to see what they look like. So it was like, you wonder what they were like. But I remember watching it saying, is that what Cindy looks like? She looks great. My mom goes, no, honey. That's not her. That's Susan Olsen, remember? And I go, and then I made the Charles in Charge connection. But my mom, and I remember my whole family, we all sat down and watched it.
Oh, I love that.
With commercials, appointment television.
See, I love that. See, that's the nostalgia I like to hear. That's one of the reasons why we do this podcast about 80s movies, and some of them that we haven't seen. I like knowing what the experience is of someone when you've seen it. Like there's certain movies that we've seen and that we both remember seeing, when they came out or at the time we were kids, and that has a certain feeling to it. I can only imagine the feeling that A Very Brady Christmas would have given me had I been a child and seen it and a Brady fan. Being an adult and kind of a part, like you said, not even knowing if Wally was a Brady brother, I was kind of like, what the fuck is this movie? But I did have like an overall like cheese ball. That's swell, like Hallmark movie feeling about the movie.
It does have that. And the only place they've rerun it in the last, 20-some years has been ABC Family.
Yes, totally appropriate. Yes.
I was contacted with somebody through Twitter who has had this on DVR for like 7 years. They recorded it, and they just keep it on there for like 7 years and just watch it every year. Yeah.
I don't know why they don't play it more. Like,
Yeah,
I always thought this was going to be like The Grinch Stole Christmas.
I don't know why it doesn't come out more. Yeah, like another. Like, we see Chevy Chase's face enough for Christmas. Let's see a little Mike Brady, you know? Does he survive?
Florence Henderson.
Yeah! Let Flo glow.
Let Flo glow? Love it. She is glowing.
I always thought they would play it on Logo because gay guys would just eat this.
Oh, exactly.
It's just campy.
Yeah.
It's campy. It's retro, like with the 80s fashions and the decor. I love it for that. I know it's a bad movie.
That's what you love.
Yes,
that's what we love about a lot of these 80s movies.
Oh my God,
They
exactly.
are so terrible. That's why we love them.
If you have any interest in the Bradys and just have never seen it, you need to watch this. Like,
if you have a terrible sense of humor, you should watch it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but I think it's good, and I would be really, like I was saying about your daughter, Paul, I think it's interesting to see what little kids think of this now, because they don't really look at it like campy like we do. They're like, oh, this show sucks.
Right.
You know, like
exactly.
So I would like to see what they would think of it, but they would have to watch all of the reruns first before they see it. You know?
This is too much for them to take on. But if they watch the show, I mean, you know, you say it's campy. You brought over those Full House. They love Full House.
Yeah, they love Full House.
It's insane how much they love Full House.
I know.
What kid in 2015, 2016 would love that show? But it's timeless. Like, the humor so silly, and it's so appropriate for children. It makes sense.
Because my friend, she used to work at Nickelodeon, and she told me why that show still does so well is because there's 3 girls who are different age ranges, so each age range that's watching it can relate to a different daughter, and it's not so. There's only a few references from the 90s that you wouldn't get, but they can ask their parents. But this show, like the Bradys, it's very different because that was a time when, like, you know, it was the early 70s, so it was like people were still trying to hold on to that Leave It to Beaver thing, and their clothes were so loud, and they were just. It's either you like it or you hate it. Is what I think.
No, I agree.
You guys think so?
Agree. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think right on.
Okay. Just a side note. I know you asked me if I had any recommendations.
Oh, yes, Let's do that. Recommendations.
Is that okay?
Yes,
I don't
ahead.
mean to. Yeah.
Please.
So basically, I think from watching this, the first thing I think of is, you know, the TV show. They're all on DVD. They play it on TV Land. I love the show. But the movies are great because they so are just a wink and a nod to the TV show. Like, you know, they make fun of themselves, and that is what's great about the Brady Bunch movies. Then, of course, you know, watching that secretary, I think of Mommy Dearest, and Mommy Dearest is just
fabulous.
It's like required viewing for camp movies.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's an 80s film as well. If you guys ever end up doing that,
is it 80s? Oh yeah, I guess it's.
Yeah. It's 81.
Early 80, yeah. Okay.
It's 81. It takes place in the 60s, the 70s?
40s and 50s.
Yeah,
40s and, oh my God. All right.
Yeah.
That was way off. Okay.
You're
40s
just a
and
decade
50s.
off. You're fine.
But that's also because I'm like a stereotypical gay man that loves that movie. But then I think the biggest thing I can recommend is there was a show. This is really getting nerdy here, okay?
I love it. Let's dig it in. Go for it.
All right. Okay. You know the guy who created Family Ties, Gary David Goldberg?
Uh-huh.
But Gary David Goldberg did a show that was his next phase after Family Ties, and it was called Day by Day.
Oh!
And it was. Do you remember this?
No, I do not.
It was a family that they were both, like, you know, white collar workers, and they had a daughter late in life, and they were like, you know what? We're just going to give up our jobs and run a daycare out of our homes, right? So what happened is they had a teenage son and a little girl. The little girl was Thora Birch from American Beauty. the teenage daughter.
Was the kid that was Greg Brady in the movie then?
You got it, buddy.
Joy Louis-Dreyfus was in it too. She was like the crazy friend.
Yes, and Courtney Thorne.
Such a great show. Such a great show.
Oh my God, what a weird,
it was good.
Yeah.
It was weird because
so,
there was an episode of the show where he was on the Bradys. He kept having dreams that he was on the Bradys, and then he played Greg Brady in the movie. Like
in the
it
movie,
was so weird. Yes,
that's an episode that is on YouTube, and I stress everybody needs to watch it. It's called A Very Brady Episode because it came out after this movie, and the Brady craze was all over. Everybody was nostalgic for them again, so they did this. He apparently his grades were slipping because he was watching too many Brady Bunch reruns. So he watched the Brady Bunch, and he dreamed that he was in the TV show, and there were cameos from Florence Henderson and Ann B. Davis, and Marcia comes in and she's pregnant. And she goes, "Boy, do I have a surprise for you!" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm sure you do." It was just funny. It was very cute. I recommend everybody watch that on YouTube.
Awesome. Those are great recommendations.
I totally forgot about that show.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was great.
That was a good gig. That was nice. Nicely done.
Thank you. Well, like Paul said, it was the kid that played the teenage son was Christopher Daniel Barnes, and he went on to play Greg in both Brady movies. Now, what about you guys? Do you have any
All right, I'll do mine. Mine's extremely different. If you want a recommendation for a super old movie, that's what I have.
You love to give these.
I really do.
Antiquated. Go ahead.
I watched a movie recently from 1937, and the thing I thought about this Brady Bunch movie was how all the kids are really far away, and the parents are older, getting on in years, and this movie is about two elderly people who lose their home, and then they have to go live with their kids, but the kids don't want them. Like, it's kind of sad. Like, the kids kind of fight about who they're going to take, and in the end, they decide that they can't take both of them. So one's going to go with one kid, one's going to go with the other kid, and it's kind of a sad movie in that it's kind of these two old married people's last afternoon together for probably the rest of their life.
Oh.
And I know it sounds really sad, but it's like 1930s sad. Like, it's kind of sad, but it's kind of funny, and it's
Great
kind of
Depression
uplifting.
sad.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. But it was weird because I did think of it when I was watching this movie. Like, I was like, oh no, what happens when poor Mike Brady passes on? Like, where does Carol go? What family wants her around? Like, you know.
Right.
So that's my recommendation. It's a really old movie that has barely anything to do with this.
What's it called?
Oh, Make Way for Tomorrow.
Make way for tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay,
all
so
right.
we could probably find it on like Turner Classic
Oh,
Movies
yes.
or something like
yes.
that. Okay, that's great.
All right, go ahead, Jamie. It's your
Well,
turn.
I didn't have many recommendations. My one recommendation is that Robert Reed never get a mustache, because I really don't think he needed it. I would
Jamie, he's
recommend.
dead.
I know,
He's
but
dead.
still.
Don't, that's so sad.
I'm sorry, R.I.P. But you shouldn't have done the stash, dude. I'm just saying.
That's fair.
I would recommend maybe getting yourself some popcorn and some Chardonnay and binging on a little My Fair Brady, where Chris Knight and Adrian Curry, an American Next Top Model.
Yes, that was a great show.
It is. So I would recommend that. And then I would recommend. I wrote down the Royal Tenenbaums because if you want to see a family that's fucked up, I mean,
that's interesting.
That's what came to mind after a very, very Christmas. It was spontaneous. It was like, when you do like your spontaneous journaling and it's just supposed to come naturally. I was like, what are my recommendations? And I just wrote down Adrian Curry, and I had to look up the name of that show because I forgot it was My Fair Brady.
Right.
My Fair Brady.
And then I wrote down the Royal Tenenbaums, I think, because after watching the Bradys, I just, yeah.
I would have liked if there was a scene in this movie where Greg Brady cut his hair and shaved his head because he was going to kill himself. Like, that would have been amazing.
That's what I mean. Like, I think if we combine the Bradys and the Tenenbaums, we'd have like this like
hugely disturbing.
Good.
Yeah, like kind of a warped mix.
Pat, is there anything you'd like to plug? Anywhere people could find you? Anything you want to talk about? Anything you're working on? Anything where somebody could just step in and play a detective, or whatever you got?
I mean, I have my own company out of New York, and it's called Spin Boy Films.
Yay!
And we do a lot of campy stuff. And one of the main people we work with is Sally Jesse Raphael.
SJR? Yeah.
And she is amazing. She is a campy old lady. She's my Betty White. She's like, hey, let's go and have a drink. Mm-hmm. Hey, did you see that hot guy? She's great. She's amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
And I love telling people I work with her because then they're like, oh, she's still alive. I'm like, yeah, she is. Her and Florence Henderson are around the same age, and they're both going strong, and I think it's awesome.
I think that's so rad. That's so rad.
Yeah, and I just have to tell you guys again, thank you so much for letting me come on and talk about this stuff.
Oh, this has been...
Because my boyfriend's sick of hearing it.
This has been a pure pleasure. This has really been awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sick of talking to Doug about these things.
I know. It's terrible. It's funny, though. Jason sent me a text after you guys finished watching it. He's like, Pat just made me watch A Very Brady Christmas. And he's like, and that Fruit Loop took 3 pages of notes. I hope you're ready for this.
Yeah, well, but he was making comments himself and saying, oh, you should put that in your notes. You should put this in your notes.
Okay, now we get
So
it.
trust me.
Okay.
Yeah, he's on the same page.
Well, let us know what his favorite 80s movie is. Maybe you guys we can have a little Valentine cast off or something. I don't know.
Oh, that would be awesome. But I would want to make sure it's on brand with the podcast. I wouldn't want to steer it too far to the gay side. It's right. But I had a great time, and any other time that you guys think that it would be appropriate to have me on, I would be more than welcome to come on. So thank you.
Anything you want to do, I'll send you a list of the movies we're thinking of, and you can just sign yourself up.
Just handpick it. All right.
Will do. This was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, I guess we'll sign off. And, oh, my God, wait, I didn't even talk about what we're going to do in 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's forward think here.
No, let's...
because we're in 2016. Hello.
2016. Our movie has nothing to do with the new year. Actually, people are getting this on January 1st, so whatever. But
also,
Jamie,
happy 2016.
I thought our podcast was maybe getting a little too white. I don't want to say it's just because of the Brady movie. Maybe the Brady movie typified how white this podcast
Yeah.
I can see that.
So we are going to visit the 1984 breakdancing classic Breakin'.
We're going to get it down. We are going to get it down.
I kind of went back and forth between Breakin' and Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo.
We got to go original. I
decided original because original was released in January of 1984. So, hey, it lines up.
Perfect.
So that's what we're going to do.
I'll get my knee pads ready.
So find it, get your knee pads ready, throw down a piece of cardboard or whatever.
Yeah.
And we will see everyone in 2 weeks.
Yes, indeed.
All right, bye,
thank you, everyone, and thank you again to our guest.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, both.
Have a great one.
Come and behold him, born the King of ages. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Christ the Lord. Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and strong.
Dear Alice, I lied to you. I wasn't working nights plucking chickens. I met a younger woman. At first, we just traded meatloaf recipes. Then one night, she asked me over to season her rump roast.